going on, everybody? Welcome to another, not just another episode of Android Faithful, an important episode, monumental even episode of Android Faithful. I'm one of your hosts, Jason Howell.
And I'm Ron Richards.
I'm Florence Ion.
There we go. It is the three of us this evening on this, a very special occasion. Today is episode 100. And you know what?
We did it.
Some podcasts don't care to celebrate nice round numbers. This podcast, we do. We think 100 is special and important and worth celebrating. So that's why we're doing it.
It is not only the 100th episode of Android Faithful, but that means it is actually the 2-year anniversary of Android Faithful. It was 2 years ago, 2 years and 2 weeks ago, that All About Android came to an end on the Twit network. Our friends over at Twit decided that they were done with the over a decade run of All About Android, and I thought, hey, I'll get my Tuesday nights back. And then
that didn't last very long.
That lasted about a day or two, and then Wynn texted me and goes, hey, can you help me figure out how to do a podcast? And I was like, why? And then we chatted and realized that we didn't want to stop. And so we collectively said, let's get this thing together. And Android Faithful was born. 2 years later, yeah.
Time is so weird. On one hand, time seems like it moves really slowly, and then something like this happens, and you go, wait a minute, it's been 2 years already? Like, that's crazy. And
it's great, Flo, that you're with us here 2 years, because the name Android Faithful, jumped out at us because we added it to the show in what we said on All About Android when you were on All About Android, and then when we're thinking of what's the name of a new show, I'm like, it's right there in our intro to All About Android. It said, we are the Android Faithful, so there it is.
Brilliant.
So, yeah,
love that choice.
And
what a great choice.
We couldn't do it without everybody who watches every week the live stream,
1,000.
watches the video after the live stream comes out, downloads the audio podcast, listens to the audio podcast, writes in, posts to social media, sends us emails, all the interactions that happen, everybody that's involved in the Android Faithful community and family, you guys are why we're here. So we're so thankful for you. So thank you.
You are the awesome ones that enable us to keep doing this. So thank you.
It's been an awesome past 2 years. I'm going to put both of you on the spot. What has been your favorite moment of the past 2 years of Android Faithful?
Boy, that is on the spot. Moment.
I was only on 5 episodes before I came back, so I don't have to answer this question. JK.
Boy, you're lucky to avoid the best, the most, the worst. Those are the hardest questions to answer on the spot.
I don't even have an answer. I
don't know that I have an answer either. I just know that ultimately I was at Twit when this show started. And I did have my Tuesday nights back, and I would tune into the live stream while I was at work and watch and participate in the chat room and everything, because it's so integrated into my Tuesday night thing. Like, it just is my Tuesday nights. And so I think the thing that I appreciate most is being back with this show on Tuesday nights. It feels right.
I will tell you, my favorite moment of the past 2 years was early in, I went to a OnePlus event in the first 3 months of Android Faithful being around. It was for the OnePlus Open. When they launched the OnePlus Open, it was here in New York. Okay. And people from Google were there, a lot of our contemporaries, other podcasters, other journalists, everything. And the amount of people who recognized me, who said how bummed they were that All About Android ended, but then said how psyched they were that we started up something new. That sentiment was such the rocket fuel behind the decision to do the new show to keep it going, because it's oh wow, actually people did listen and did care what we said, and it was nice, and that kind of catapulted it forward. And to get that not only from again folks like Ben at 9 to 5 Google and Miriam and Michael Fisher and so many of our Juan, who was just on the show last week, so many of our
and Google
but then also at the companies to talk to the great folks at OnePlus and the folks at obviously at Google and at Samsung and all the other great companies, to be oh, we're so glad you guys didn't go away. It's really cool. So
totally
that's the best thing about it. So yay.
Totally.
But that's we could shine our own shoes. But hey, thank you to the audience, and thank you to everybody over the past couple of weeks who have joined us over at patreon.com/AndroidFaithful. You guys are awesome. Everyone who has signed up in this membership drive, as well as all of our existing membership, are going to be eligible for some cool giveaways we're going to do in July. We've got lots of stuff. Look at Flo. If you're watching the video, look at Flo's room. She's got all the stuff she wants to give away. In sync memorabilia, lots of Tamagotchis. Everything must go. No, I'm kidding. No, but seriously.
One day there may be a Tamagotchi.
But come this July, we're going to be doing giveaways for all of our members, all of our supporting members on Patreon and on the Android Faithful website. So if you want to get on that, sign up. Thank you again. All right, I'm going to stop talking about that.
Amazing.
Hooray.
Y'all are awesome.
Yeah. And also, when you become a member of Android Faithful, you also get our newsletter every week. That is
do. Forget that.
Truly.
Yep. So
Indeed.
And do that by signing up over at AndroidFaithful.com. It's real easy. Just drop your email. It's totally free. You don't need to pay for anything. Don't need to sign up for anything. You get that. And if you sign up on Patreon, you automatically get signed up for that. Some folks have written us saying, hey, I get a lot of emails from you, because you do. But there are ways you can manage your emails on Patreon and on the Android Faithful website. You can manage your own preferences. You can limit the number of emails you get. Please don't unsubscribe, though.
It's up to you.
But it's up to you. That, yeah. It's magic your way.
You can dial it in however you like. And quick reminder, at the end of this episode, you get, if you are just a free podcast listener, at the end of this episode, you will get our final kind of free after hours. So you can, listen to it and then make up your mind, but we hope you'll say yes.
Yes. And this is the last week of the free, everyone gets after hours. Next week, it's going back behind the membership only paywall. So,
should we do it? Should we do a show?
Let's do it.
Well, should we prove our worth?
We got some fun stuff to cover this week.
Indeed,
we have a lot of stuff to cover this week.
Yep.
Lots of stuff. Starting with, I would say, probably one of my favorite AI features to come from the OEMs. Everyone with smartphones, they're all trying to make sure you know about their AI solution and their AI integrations and everything. And nothing /CMF, because I should point out that the current CMF phone has an Essential Space button as well, but nothing has been integrating its Essential Space AI kind of platform into the last couple of devices. It's expected on the next Nothing phone, whenever that may be. And CEO Carl Pei addressed in an in-house interview the possibility of Essential Space becoming a paid feature, which we had talked about on the show many months ago. There was a possibility that it might actually become a paid feature. There was some sort of queue that I can't remember what, someone found something. Oh, it was in an APK teardown, found references to a potentially charged version of it. And Carl is saying, hey, look, we want the feature to remain free. It is possible that there might be a premium tier at some point, but only once there is, quote, substantial value that people can get out of it. That was his words. He says right now the feature is about 10% done, 90% left to build. It does feel pretty early. I have some complaints about it. When I'm testing a Nothing phone, though, I'm using it a lot. And I mean, I am, right now I've been playing around with the CMF Phone 2 Pro a lot. I've got a review in the works for ZDNet and for my YouTube channel. And there it is. There's the Essential Space button. I mean, the beauty of it, for me, like the killer feature is like I tap and hold anywhere I happen to be, and it immediately goes into an audio recording and is transcribing it and everything. And it's very easy for me to throw down an idea super quick. If they put that behind a paywall, like I'd be super bummed about that. And it sounds like what he's saying is that the basic functionality, what you get right now, probably will never go behind a paywall. Let's hope that ends up being true. See, and it's filed. It's all filed away. Wasn't that easy?
That was easy, but there are other apps that do that. It's
Well, but here's why it's different. There are other apps that do that, but here's why it's different. The reason that I find it different is because when I'm on a lock screen, I can still hold it and it goes right into audio recording without any extra
that it's integrated
steps.
Into the whole experience of the phone.
I like that I like that I only ever have to do one thing to get it to go.
Okay.
I don't have to unlock the phone and then do it. I don't have to hold down the button and then hit a button that starts recording, which is what Motorola does. I just hold it down And wherever I happen to be, it goes right into it and it's filed away. It makes it so easy for me to just take an idea that I have at any random moment and just be done with it and move on. And I don't find other solutions do that. They always have like an intermediate step. And I wish they didn't, but they do. So anyways, that's my reason why. That's my like one reason why.
I will say,
what do you think?
Essential Space is a lot less annoying than we will talk coming up of the AI features that are on Moto.
Yeah. Moto doesn't do it quite so well.
See how each different manufacturer is trying to shove AI in there and make it like a part of the experience.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't that what everyone's doing? Right? Like, isn't that what
they are? They're all chasing that dragon.
I mean, that's what it feels like.
Right.
Like,
yeah. But
they're all chasing the dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. And like, this is another video that I have on my channel that I did talking about the AI button, which is everywhere. And that's one of my main criticisms is that the problem is everybody's doing it. I mean, that's not the problem. Everybody's trying it, and that's not necessarily inherently just a problem. The problem is their desire is to throw everything into it, to be like, all right, well, this is the portal for everything that we do with AI. And at that point, it gets too complicated and people are going to push back against it and they're not going to use it because they're going to get confused. It's just, don't make it do too much.
They're either going to get confused or it's going to become so noisy that they're going to become dismissive. Yeah. And that's really, totally. and that's really the kind of challenge. And like we joke about it, we laughed about it, but it's funny because the whole AI summaries in Gmail, every time it comes up, it cracks me up because it's just like it's taking up precious real estate in a very small area, and email has become such a, I don't even know, antiquated form of communication where it's like no emails, with the exception of like work. I am involved in some very lengthy legal, kind of work emails and stuff like that, where they're very long kind of things. And maybe the AI summaries work, but like I was scheduling some work with a contractor and the AI summary is like, Ron asked when the work can happen. This person, and basically just repeated what was said in the emails. And, so.
At about the same length too. That always cracks me up. It's like, oh, I'm reading the same length, but worded differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously.
There's definitely a lot of room for improvement there.
Yep.
Speaking of space, though, there is another story to talk about here is Gemini Space. Have you heard of this before? Could be arriving sometime on Pixel devices. I mean, sometime, I'm guessing, with Pixel 10 coming up here in a few months. A supercharged version of the Pixel's at-a-glance experience, according to one Mishal Rahman, a co-host on this show, by the way. Similar in some ways to Samsung's Now Bar, which people have seemed to like. It's kind of a nifty little feature that, positions certain data points and interactive elements into a little bar down at the bottom or on your lock screen or up at the top. Just depends. This system config file that was found in Mishal's kind of tear down or breakdown shows a bunch of references to ambient things like ambient data or ambient always on display or ambient display, ambience hub, which is essentially the interface for all of this data. So in essence, he's assuming that probably this feature is going to come to the lock screen on the Pixel, something that at a glance can't currently do. So it kind of ties into this. It's kind of similar, but not quite the same as Essential Space, but they're all trying to find their way.
I mean, everybody's standing on each other's shoulders, right?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like somebody gets an idea, somebody runs with it, somebody iterates on it, they move that idea. I mean, it seems like the only idea that hasn't truly taken off has been the dynamic island, right? Like that's been the one that's on an island by itself.
Are you sure about that?
Has it though? I mean, where else have we seen it?
On Apple devices,
right? But it hasn't jumped over on Android and gotten the bite elsewhere.
Well, no, because there's no way for everybody to code to it at the same
scale. Right.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Different integration.
Right.
Yeah. Kind of challenge, I suppose. I mean, something like this kind of has that quality to it, right? Like the Now or whatever it is on Samsung, the Now Space, or a Now Bar. There we go. The Now Bar really was like Samsung.
Now Bar, the still useless Now Bar. You mean?
I thought it was cool when I looked at it at the event, and then when I've tested the phones and used the phones, I never use it.
Have you checked it? Okay,
No.
This one's dead. But just last week I was checking in on it, and it's still delivering like the same bad news. Just like none of the headlines it delivers are interesting, and unless you are actively using Samsung Health, you're not getting the kind of like summaries that they're promising that you get. It just feels.
So it's a beta. It's a beta feature.
It's not a beta because it was a part of the marketing.
I know. So. Apple got in big trouble for this, for announcing AI features and then not releasing something.
That's the thing. A lot of people really, drag them over the coals. But meanwhile, we have a lot of Android OEMs that are kind of doing similar stuff. So
yeah.
I don't know. Is this? Right. But is this really the future of AI? Is just like a homepage?
Which seems so like 1996, right?
Is this like the splash page of the internet back in the day when you would have like a cool like login image, before you jumped into the actual website?
Yeah, I don't know. I hope not.
Idea.
We'll see.
Yeah,
when we'll know when we're in the future.
Yeah,
then we'll know if it was
my Yahoo
actually worked.
As Cousin Josh suggests in the chat, my Yahoo all over again. Those were the days. Your customizable homepage. That was so where you could choose the widgets and everything. Oh, that was so cool. Anyway,
Flo, what's the next story?
The next story is a story that you've heard many times before. Somebody keeps trying to revive Blackberry. Everybody says it's something that they loved so much from the past, and yet when they try to revive it for you, nobody bought it.
It just won't die. Blackberry really not so much Blackberry won't die. The promise or the emotional connection people had with Blackberry won't die.
This is true. Now, I think what's really interesting about this particular project, though, is that it involves old Blackberries being given a third or fourth new life. So basically, if you ever wished you could take an old phone and bring it back to life with the new parts, this is the Westworld version of Android devices, or Blackberry, I guess I should say. Xinhua is a company that has started with the revival of the Blackberry Classic from 2014. They're using the old device along with a screen and physical keyboard, but everything inside is stuff that you've been using lately. So a MediaTek Helio G99 chip, 12 gigs of RAM, which honestly is kind of interesting that they're putting that much in there, 256 gigs of storage, a 3000 milliamp battery, and even new cameras. So a 50 megapixel rear-facing sensor and an 8 megapixel front-facing sensor. And of course, the updates go down to the ports. So we've got USB-C. We've also got NFC. We've got an updated modem so we can get the device onto the 5G network. And of course, this runs a slightly older version of Android because it had to be a little bit, tweaked. Android 13, but in a Blackberry way.
Right. Who needs the latest, really? I mean, what do you lose by not having 14 or 15 or 16?
I mean, you can buy the kit for $300. And okay, so it's for the Q.
So this is a kit where you need to get your hands on a Blackberry and then you get this kit of all parts where you can then
kit is just $300.
So you can retrofit an old Blackberry into an Android device, basically. That's what. So I couldn't, because here's the thing. My sister still talks about her Blackberry from 20 years ago, and the closest I can come is that I might want to get her a Moto Razr and a Clicks keyboard, because I feel like that's the closest I can get her to the Blackberry experience. But should I go this direction?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
I'm thinking no. It just
because first of all, I've never met your sister, but I know a lot about her over these past 10 plus years that we've known each other. And I think that's abuse for you to do that, to give your sister a zombie-fied Blackberry.
Don't do that to her.
Which, by the way, forever with software updates.
Speaking of my sister and her adventures with Android, she called me over the other day to help her because she's not getting voicemail notifications until 24 hours after the voicemail's being left. and I looked into it. And as far as I could tell, she's on Verizon. And I think this is like a Verizon network issue. And I don't know if anybody else in the audience is on Verizon or has this issue, but I was looking online and I just saw like post after post after post in forums of Android and iPhone users on Verizon all complaining about the same thing: delayed voicemail delivery and delayed voicemail notifications. The phone does not sync with voicemail. Visual voicemail does not sync for hours, and rendering the whole thing useless. And I told her, I'm like, I sat there I cleared cache. I did every trick I could think of to try to get, I called and left her a voicemail, and I sat there for a half an hour and it didn't get a notification. And I was like, and I read online, and of course the Verizon support people in the forums are like, do a factory reset. And I'm like, no, factory reset is not the answer, by the way. Like that is not like any customer service person who says do a factory reset is like, it's criminal. But so anyway, so I don't know if anybody else out there is on Verizon having that issue. If you solved it,
I have been having some issues. The other day on Sunday, I use, Google Maps to navigate, and I completely lost GPS in the city.
Oh, wow.
Or not in the city, excuse me, out here in the burbs.
Yeah.
I completely lost GPS, and it was very frustrating because I didn't know which way to turn on a specific street in a suburb that I'm not from. And that's been happening to me quite a bit. And I usually just chalk it up to the fact that Verizon switched to 5G, their wave, their towers are not as far-reaching as maybe others are because of that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I just saw.
Because the whole point of wave is that it's very powerful, but at a very close.
But in a very
range,
close.
And the farther you get from it.
Yeah.
And I'm imagining, all these buildings and stuff that are blocking out the connection, all that stuff contributes to why your phone isn't connecting to the internet.
Yeah.
Or
very interesting to me, because Verizon used to be the choice in the US for that sort of thing.
I mean, it still is.
Still is, but T-Mobile apparently is moving up the ranks right now. I saw a report on that. Anyways,
I do believe, in a survey.
What's that?
There was a survey that said that T-Mobile is ranked number one, but I mean, it makes sense.
Kantar study.
By the way, none of that was on the rundown. In case anybody.
Yeah. Sorry, I deviated. Blackberry, my sister. That's how we got there. I'm sorry about that, but
I just want to add before we move on that for those of you who are interested in this Blackberry project, it would probably cost you between $400 and $600. So $300 for the kit, and then if you don't already have the phone, eBay seems to have it between $100 and $200, depending on the quality of the device.
Interesting. So now that I can actually share my screen, there you go. So on eBay, depending on the quality of device, looks like they're there about $100 to $125 for a former.
This is very interesting.
There's a $78 one. There you go. That's affordable.
Yeah, but it probably doesn't come with a charger. It's probably all scratched up.
Yep, pre-owned. Here's a brand new one for $175.
You know what I wonder, what this makes me realize or kind of wonder about the future is that BlackBerry was such a powerhouse, right? For such a long time before the kind of modern incarnation of smartphones was what it was. Before Apple came along and did the touchscreen thing, and then everybody kind of jumped on board, and we are where we are right now. And then you have a company like Clicks, right? Bringing the keyboard back to the iPhone. But yet we are like a generation and a half, if not more, away from when BlackBerry was the powerhouse. And so we've got a younger generation that is now rediscovering, oh, wait a minute, I actually like having the clicky buttons or whatever. I wonder if Clicks being the revival of the BlackBerry aesthetic ends up bringing more people over to the BlackBerry aesthetic, and BlackBerry does have an actual comeback. I could totally see it. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I could totally see it.
Who owns the BlackBerry?
We'll have to see, because definitely, not to be all like millennial talking about Gen Z, but everybody's talking about the fact that Gen Z has been adopting a lot of old tech and just kind of looking at this history of a lifestyle that they never lived. Like, this is something that they've never experienced. It's like me in the 70s, like I could have been there.
It's flow and disco, you know?
I could have been dancing at Studio 54, you know?
It's flow and
but
bottoms.
Instead I was born in the late 80s.
So this is a good reminder that if you haven't watched the Blackberry movie yet,
I actually haven't.
Oh, Flo, you gotta watch. Oh, you gotta watch it, Flo. It is right up here.
I remember you saying you watched it. It was really good.
Glenn Howerton from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is masterful in it. It is fantastic, and it is a great. I mean, I do love the genre of of based on true business story movies. Like that is one of my favorite film genres, but they did a really good job with the Blackberry movie. It's very, very good. And they repurposed it into a TV. Like they broke it up into episodes. Like they broke it up into a TV series. Like they did a whole bunch of different like carving, but like watch it as a movie. It was very good. Jay Baruchel was good, very good in it. It strongly recommend it. So it's just called, it's simply called Blackberry, and it's definitely worth watching. So yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
All right, real quick before we kind of move on to our next news story, just a quick throw to our patrons, patreon.com/AndroidFaithful. You are the ones that enable us to do this each and every week and struggle through technical difficulties if and when they happen, but they never happen. Definitely not with StreamYard, that's for sure. Joseph Hodge is our patron of the week. Just want to highlight you, sir. Thank you so much for supporting us. And you and, of course, everyone else who does. You all get the opportunity as patrons to anoint or vote for the story that you want us to talk about. We give you 3 options. You get to choose. But before that, everyone gets to give us an image, usually created with AI, of our Android figurines doing fun things. And in this case, the image, who created this image? Was this you, Ron?
I created it.
You created it.
So I will take a moment to applaud the Android Faithful audience because we've gotten inundated with Bug Droid images. The level of creativity over the past week of Bug Droid images that have been sent in by you guys has been awesome. It is going to be a great summer of Bug Droid images. You guys don't even know what's in store for you over the upcoming weeks. Please keep them coming. Email me at contact@androidfaithful.com. I love to get the Bug Droid images. We will use all of them if they're appropriate. In fact, we haven't gotten many inappropriate ones, which I'm glad to report. But considering it was the 100th episode, I needed a 100 episode specific one. So I'm like, I'm going to make one this week. As such, I not only made a 1x1 graphic, I also made our full screen, widescreen version of Bug Droids partying on the beach with a plane flying ahead with a banner that says Android Faithful 100 episodes. And this was, as Flo picked up when I published it, partially influenced by the fact that it has been like dreadfully hot in New York, and my air conditioning has been broken for more than a week, and I've been dying. And so I might have been in a fugue, heat-induced manic state when I made this as well too. But
well, you did a great job.
Yeah.
This thing is,
and my air conditioning was fixed as of today, so I've come down from that heat deprived state. But this is a fun one. So I wanted to remember 100 episodes. I wanted to remember 100 episodes, the only way an AI image of Bug Droids partying on the beach could do. So
good work. I love it. You'll see it as the thumbnail for tonight's episode. And we do also, along with Ron's handy artwork here, have 3 stories that you voted on and a whole lot of well wishes. Thank you for all the comments, everybody. It is great to be 100 episodes in. The story that got the least amount of votes is OnePlus might have gamers in sight with this compact tablet. That was 15%. Second place, Pixel 10 Magic Q leaks as AI that proactively suggests info and actions. I'm actually kind of surprised that didn't get the top vote, but that came in at 35%. 50%, that is half of you who voted for a story that talks about what it means to be an optimized voice assistant. Android Authority has an article, Android may soon recommend you use an optimized voice assistant. Here's what that really means. And just to kind of summarize, this was, of course, written by our very own Mishal Rahman, who basically writes about something that is actually out there already. Samsung is already doing this. It's definitely a feature, and I can even show you, if you're watching the video version, what it looks like. Essentially, is that the one? Where's the Samsung thing? I know I saw it. Michelle's yelling at me right now. There it is. So on One UI 7, it just shows all of your voice assistants. And on One UI 8, it says AI assistants optimized for Galaxy. And that's kind of the point here, is highlighting the AI assistants, of which we are getting more and more and more, right? We're finding more appear in that place. But how many of them actually interoperate with an OEM's devices and with their first-party apps? And they're, so in this case, Google Gemini does with Galaxy devices, but with ChatGPT, with Perplexity, this menu is basically telling you you're going to get more interoperability out of Gemini in this case than you would with the others. And so this is a system that's being baked in. Google has no plans to do this on Pixel phones. Anti-competitive behavior.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I wonder why. But OEMs can recommend assistants that work with their first-party apps and systems to their users. So that's what this is all about.
I mean, that seems handy, right? I mean,
good to know for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, are we using our voice assistants as much as we used to? Are you guys?
I mean, I never used it a lot to begin with. I have a hard
really?
time. I have a hard time with that concept, with the modal of talking. I'd rather type and see something back and type back rather than talk.
I talk to mine.
Yeah.
I talk to mine. Sometimes I get conversational with it. Sometimes I'm just like, whatever, I just might as well.
Yeah,
just in case it comes alive.
I definitely do. From time to time, it just depends on if I have my hands free or if I don't, but, I often fire up something like Perplexity and go into voice mode and start asking it questions, like while I'm doing the dishes. Like I've done that a bunch recently. I have something pops in my mind, and instead of like stopping down and going, I just put it into conversation mode and I say, so tell me a little bit about blah, 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 but what about blah, 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 blah? And it just kind of, it's a back and forth. And
wow, it's like you're living an IO demo.
I guess so.
That's fascinating.
But I mean, it's just like, I'm living my life and I have a question, and instead of like shutting down and like typing, because I still to this day hate typing on touchscreens. I hate it.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm always mistyping the wrong letter. Doesn't, you know what I mean? It doesn't learn over time.
If only you had a physical keyboard.
Yeah, maybe I need a Clicks, or maybe I need a Frankenstein Blackberry.
Oh, there you go. Well, it's interesting because like my kids definitely interact with the Google Home in that way. Today my son came home from school and ran to the Google Home and asked it if extreme heat is considered severe weather, which, because he's been learning about severe weather at school, and we were debating whether a heat wave is considered extreme weather and severe weather. And spoiler, yes, it is.
Check you.
The Google Home, it kind of put the fear of God in him, because it's like, it's actually the biggest killer of all the severe weather. And he was like, oh God,
heat will kill you.
But like they have the conversation mode with Google Home, and they do that. But I have a hard time when there's other people in the house or when I'm out in public to hold up the phone and be like, hey, what's, because then other people will be like, are you talking to me? What's going on? It's hard when you're in a space with other people all the time to then be like, no, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the computer, and that's where I get hung up with it. And I just can't get it into that mode, and you guys are in a household with other people. You clearly can. So I don't know. It must be a mental block for me. I don't know why, but
I'm also home alone a lot now because my wife, she doesn't work at home anymore. The kids are, older, so they're doing all their things. And so I find myself in situations where that makes sense, But
I also don't use speakerphone. I also don't FaceTime. I also don't video call. Like I can't, like one of my friends in Italy, she sends me voice messages over WhatsApp all the time. It drives me bananas. I'm like, just type it. I don't like. I like hearing her, but like, I don't need to.
That's so sweet.
I don't have
voice messages.
I don't have 30 seconds to sit there and listen to her message for 30 seconds when I can read it.
That's why you need an AI to summarize what she said, Ron.
Exactly.
At least you're right. So that way nobody gets offended. She doesn't, get offended.
I don't know. The voice back and forth, I do have a hard time with. Maybe I'm alone. I don't. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe call me old fashioned.
I watch my older daughter, and they do that all the time.
Yeah.
It's like
the hybrid model.
Voice chat, not live, Yeah. And they do live, but yeah.
The sending the voice messages via WhatsApp is like a big not a European thing. Like they do that all the time.
It is.
Yeah, like that
Yeah,
is.
I watch my daughter do that all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I guess you could
Wild.
do that. But yeah, it's just interesting.
Nope. No, thank you. Just type it. Just type
Back in
it.
the day, we called it talking on the phone.
Yes, we called. Exactly. But now it's like, I want to call, but on my terms. I want to call and just say the thing I want to say right now and be done. And you tell me the thing you want to say when you're ready to say it. And then I'll hear it when I want to hear it. That's
Side
basically
note,
what it
before we
is.
move on, apparently there is a movement from some parents to like slow the adoption of a smartphone for their kids. So parents are going back to landlines
Oh,
to get their kids to, like,
My wife and I were just talking about this. She said she heard of people getting landlines in their houses so the kids can talk on the phone type. There must have been an
Yes.
article that you all read
Carrie and I read the same stuff. So.
probably yeah. So fascinating. I'm down with that. I'm down. I wanted to put
I might do that too. I might do that. My
I
kids
want
will
to put a
speak-
closed circuit of landline phones in the house, like one in the basement and one in the kids' room, so they can talk to each other, like in the, like just.
You might as well just give them a tin can and a string, though, because I feel like
Yeah.
that's more,
Yeah. I gave them walkie-talkies for Christmas, and like within a day or two, Luna was in the basement and Remo was upstairs, and Luna just started talking to him and saying that she was mom and like yelling at him, and he was getting like really upset and like because he believed her, and I was like, dude, it's clearly not your mother, and I was like, she'd be like, it's mom, you're in trouble, and he's like, what did I do? And like.
You did a bad thing. Oh no, I did a bad thing.
And I'm like, here, I thought walkie-talkies would be fun, but he's gullible. So, anyway, thank you, patrons, for supporting us. And every week, not only on Wednesdays, you can submit stories for us to include on the show. And in fact, this week we have a ton of stories. In fact, that Blackberry story was a patron submission by Noah, who suggested it for nostalgic innovation. And we've got a bunch of other patron submissions later in the show. So every Wednesday you can submit stories for us to include in the show. And then every Monday you can vote on a story for the patron pick to be included in the show. And we talk about the stories that didn't get picked in the after hours. So you'll hear us talk about that also. So yeah.
There you go.
Hooray.
All the things. All right. Well, let's take a quick break. On the other side of the break, we got some pretty important hardware to talk about. We got a lengthy hardware block dedicated to Motorola's foldables. That's coming up on the other side of this quick break. Right, the Moto Razr, the Razr Ultra. Those are the two that we have. Like Motorola has three different variants, right? They've got the Razr, they've got the Razr, is it the Razr Plus?
Yeah.
And the Razr Ultra? Oh,
Yep.
is that? Okay, so Flo's trying the flippy thing. Oh, let me turn off the...
There we go.
You're trying to open it like a Star Trek communicator.
I am. It's not. I haven't. I haven't broken it in enough, I guess.
I will say, I will give the Moto Razr credit that it is incredibly satisfying to hang up on someone and slam it shut when you're done with the call.
I said good day.
I said,
Yeah, but I kind of want to like really slam it, and then I'm afraid if I do that, it's just going to go, "Wah!"
Yeah.
and then fall out of my hand, and I don't want to drop this thing.
You know what? I dropped this today and it was fine.
Oh boy.
It was really interesting because somebody in the iFanboy Discord asked me about running with it. Because specifically not about about dropping it, or because I run with my Pixel phone all the time. I just throw it in my pocket. But the more concern about the front screen and it, while you're running, getting activated or not. And so I did a deep dive on, basically how you can disable the front screen or, minimize the wake function or increase the sleep function and stuff like that. And essentially the answer is like, yes, you can. You can manipulate the front screen to not turn on as much as you want if you're using it for running. So don't be afraid to throw it in your pocket. And actually I like throwing it in my pocket and run because it is a smaller... That's
one of the really refreshing things about this phone is,
Yeah.
and I think just this form factor in general is when you've got it folded down into the closed state, it's very pocketable. Another thing that I really liked, so I have the Ultra and the two of you have the regular, although it looks like the cover screen is very similar on all of these. You know, the kind of full.
I have the
bleed
Ultra as well.
color.
It's right here.
Oh, you have the Ultra. Okay, so two of us have the Ultra. Ron
So
has
you've
the
got
regular.
you've got the full height on the Ultra, where the cover screen.
Oh,
on
I see.
I still got there. Let me. You see?
Yeah, so it is a little bit shorter, a little stubbier.
On the Motorola Razr 2025, the cover screen doesn't go the full front of it. There's about a little less than a half of an inch bezel along the top, where the Ultra has the full front of the screen. So that appears to be the biggest difference, you know.
Yeah, I found like when I went to the dog park and I have Bluetooth earbuds and I'm like watching or listening to a YouTube video because I'm there with my dogs, being able to just kind of hold the phone in this way versus having a full phone out all the time when I'm walking out. It's a subtle difference, but it's really nice because it's very palmable. And then I gave YouTube permission for this front screen. So when I have a video playing, I just kind of let it take the full screen. And if I want to look, I just kind of, okay. And then I continue on. And I don't know, it was a neat way to, you know, interact with the cover screen and prove why it's needed.
Sure.
I would say in my time with the phone, the cover screen is that's like marquee feature for me. That's the thing that I'm like, that's the reason. That's one of the main reasons why you might want this, is because that cover screen is so valuable, really interactive.
Okay, but you know what? Some of us right-handed people are having trouble with Motorola because of where they put their lenses, and so some of us, when we're
encounter that,
I almost dropped it. Woohoo! Some of us, when we're walking and filming selfies of ourselves, we're putting our thumb over
Florence
like this
would do.
and start recording, and we're actually covering the lens.
See, now I'm also right-handed. I'm also right-handed, but I did not run into that problem because I don't take selfies of myself. So they're problem solved.
Well, I just have to say, actually, the regular camera on the Razr has, or I should say the camera on the regular Razr, I meant to say. It's fine, but what I really do like about it is the depth of field that I get when I do the selfie that way.
Yep.
But Ron, I like to shoot little confessionals.
I know you do. I know.
Right? And so when I'm filming people running stop signs, I don't want my thumb to be in there because I need the evidence.
I mean, you definitely don't want your thumb to be in a picture. Yeah.
You can still crop your thumb out, but still
unintentionally.
Yes. Jason, I will join you in the cover screen being a transformative experience in using it.
I love it.
It's one thing about having a foldable, because I played with the book style foldable with the OnePlus Open and the Pixel Fold in the past, and that is a type of experience. But the top down fold experience with the half screen, with the cover screen experience was truly transformable in terms of just like having a quick glance at the calendar, or quick glance at a message, or a quick glance at the news or weather. Or I found myself even, when I, took the phone into the city and standing on the subway and just looking down and pulling up Google Photos and just looking at one quick picture of my kids in that nice little thing, and just smiling and putting the phone back in my pocket, as opposed to taking the full screen of the phone. Like, there's something about that little square of the cover screen that is, and it's a bit of a novelty. I'll admit it. And I wonder, if I use this phone as a daily driver in 6 months from now, if these little novelties feel the same. But it definitely felt different to me than the standard phone use. So.
What is Flo showing right now?
Flo's playing.
I don't know. They have all these games that they loaded on here that you can play on the cover screen. I don't actually know what this game is.
I don't want to play games on my cover screen.
Well, you say that, but if you were taking part every day, you probably would.
Maybe, but again, like, are they just cheap games that they just made for the cover screen to show, hey, you could play some games on here? And if that's the case, then I want to play real games, and so I'll play it on the inside. Yeah,
well, actually, they're Game Snacks games, which is very interesting.
I'm impressed at how the ability to access as many apps on the cover screen as you can. I know that's been the real thing. Like, Samsung is more limiting in the number of apps you can use on that cover screen, where Motorola's like, yeah, use whatever you want. It might work, it might not work, whatever. But like, I pulled the MLB app up on there, and I was watching baseball, game day baseball. I was like, keeping track of a game with it. I used the Google News app. Like, I did not run into any app where I'm like, oh, this is a bad experience. Like,
yeah.
So
I mean, probably. Oh, sorry.
Go after you, Jason.
No, I was just going to say that probably the app that I used the most on the cover screen was YouTube. And one thing that I did notice is if I had YouTube on the interior screen, which, by the way, is a tall drink of water. This is a tall display on the inside. You cannot one-hand this. You just can't. You've got to two-hand it. But anyways, if I like have YouTube on the inside display, and then I have the setting, you have to set it up to do this, but I have the setting to where it automatically transfers over to the cover screen if I close the device. It doesn't always transfer correctly. Like, it's not, I don't know how to explain this, but it's almost like they're two separate apps, and it hands it off to the other app, because there were times where I had the interior video playing and I also had the exterior video playing. And I was like, well, wait a minute, how is that possible? Didn't happen very often, but it did happen like a couple of times. So anyways, it's interesting how it handles the handoff, but it's great that you can just basically say with almost any app, I want to do it. Let me do it.
Yeah. Well, why don't we start with the Ultra? Why don't you guys go give the Ultra experience? What was that? What was that like for the both of you? Photos, all that fun stuff. Go Ultra.
Okay. Do you go first, Flo?
I have had more experience thus far with the regular Razr. The Ultra was, we wrote about it last month when we got in the review units. It was good at what it does, and it's a much better packed phone than the regular Razr. But the regular Razr, the point of that one is the price. So before we get to the regular Razr, Jason, what has your experience been like with the flagship?
The Ultra. I mean, this is definitely the one that I focused on was the Ultra.
Yeah.
I've got a video that's going to be going up probably tomorrow. I think I just saw in my notifications on the cover screen that the edit is ready for me to take a look at. So anyways, there will be a full review on my channel of the Razr Ultra. But, just to kind of like summarize real quick here, $1,299. So this is, $1,300 clamshell foldable. So probably one of the most expensive clamshell foldables that you can get right now, even compared to Samsung's. And I'd say, no question, it's the nicest one that I've used. Definitely the interior display, like I said, really tall. There were times where I really just had one hand, and it's really hard for me to reach up to the top or all the way across. You're much better going two-handed with this unless you want to risk dropping it. I love the design touches, the genuine wood back that they call Pantone Mountain Trail with the little kind of shiny what is the word? Fidgety, little logo there feels nice. And the titanium hinge, the hinge quality is excellent. I mean, it's just a really sharp looking phone. I got a lot of people that saw me pull it out, and they were like, whoa, wait a minute, what's that phone? Can I see that? That's really nice. Displays look great. Yeah. It really stands out. 165 hertz refresh on the inside. That obviously is kind of a differentiator. Things look really smooth. When you have that activated, of course, you're going to burn through a little battery there. I already talked about the cover display being just kind of like a cool mini phone. Definitely one of my favorite features. You've got all of your Motorola like actions. So, if I've got it open and I do chop a couple of times, chop, the flashlight goes on, and there's other ones as well. I think you can you can launch camera with, I think, 2 twists, is it? Yeah, it is. Okay, there we go. Mm-hmm. Moto AI button. This is another one of those AI buttons. We were kind of talking about it earlier, and it's on its own side, so it's off on its own. And I mean, if you tap and hold, it brings up a menu. And when you see the menu, it's kind of a condensed menu, but when we expand it out, it just gives you all this stuff. And I just, like a playlist studio, like I don't need that at a push of a button. Like just trim this down to the one or two key things that I want to do and let me get into it quickly. That's kind of what I was talking about earlier with Essential Space. Here, it's like, here's everything you can do with AI tied to that button. It's like, well, I don't want to do 90% of this. I want to do this one thing anytime I push that button. And so I found it a little kind of disappointing, a little annoying from that perspective. Camera wise, cameras were fine. I would say, I wouldn't say that the cameras are the standout feature of this really fingerprint smudged phone at this point. They were okay. Pretty good light, pretty good images. Selfies on the cover screen looked pretty good. Low light, not the best. Some digital artifacting. The lack of a telephoto is always a big bummer for me. But I think that's my really quick review. Of the Ultra. It's great. Don't get me wrong. This is a fantastic clamshell. I think if you're in the market for a clamshell and you're willing to spend money, you have to consider this. You have to go test it out, put it in your hands, see what you think. But it doesn't get every single dang thing right. And that's not a ding because most phones don't. It's just, does it get the things that you want right? That's the important part.
Right. The full cover screen is nice. I mean, after playing with the regular Razr and having that little bit, seeing it, I'm a little jealous that the Ultra has the full cover screen, to be honest. But
yeah. I mean, when you're talking about that small real estate to begin with, any extra helps.
Exactly.
Big time.
Exactly. Yeah. So, Flo, do you concur in that in terms of the Ultra, or did you have a different experience? Or
yeah, I mean, I was playing more with the $600 Moto Razr.
Sure.
2025, like the one that is supposed to, honestly, it's spec'd to the same, it's kind of spec'd alongside the Pixel A series if you think about it.
Yep.
It's a different bunch of hardware than the Ultra. There's a MediaTek Dimensity 7400X processor in there. There's only 8 gigs of RAM, so this is very much giving entry level kind of Android usage here. Has 3 cameras, of course. It's got the double 50 megapixel and 13 megapixel that's what gives it that depth of field. And then it's got 32 megapixel inside camera if you're using that front facing situation. So it has all the things you need to live a normal phone life. It has the cool camcorder mode that Motorola lets you do, where actually, if you wouldn't mind popping into that Google Photos album that I made y'all.
Yep.
I've got a picture of it in camcorder mode on my balcony.
Let's see here. Flo's photos. Boop. There it is.
There we go. Yeah, and I was just taking a long exposure video last night. This is the whole reason I love the foldable form factor is the built-in tripod. Yeah. Honestly.
Yep.
It's fantastic. I love being able to just set this thing up, take a selfie, set it up, take a really long, I like to call it an ambiance video because, sometimes you want to look back in the past and be in the moment.
And go, oh,
hear the crickets
I love that
chirping around you. Yeah. I will say though, the photos on the Moto Razr are meh. Look at the blue on this.
Boy.
I just feel
yeah.
The blue is so oversaturated.
What time was this taken? This is a little close to dusk,
right? This was taken at 8:30 p.m. as the sun's going down.
So some light. I mean, it's very grainy in the sky. Yeah, low light.
It didn't look this way on the Pixel.
Blooming. No, it wouldn't. The Pixel would look a lot better than this. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, that's the challenge is that for whatever reason,
look how dark it is. Sorry.
While holding this phone and using the camera and my expectations were I felt them these lenses are less than because of this form factor and because of the way that what this is for some reason it was a mental adjustment where my expectations for the camera were lowered. Not that excuses it. But I didn't expect pixel quality photos,
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, Ron, that when you have a Pixel A series, you are still getting pixel quality photos, even though it's clearly not to the highest of resolutions, the way that it is on the Pros.
Right.
And I tried to use like the different filters on the camera app. This photo that you're going through is just showing the slightly different filters that they had going. It wasn't monumental. I mean, in most cases, I'm going to be doing all my filtering on the app that I'm posting to. Let's be real. I tried to use the macro. Because the Razr stops at 2x optical zoom, you're not getting as much from it as you would from a more capable macro lens of some sort. Right. So it's fine though. It's for $600 and probably maybe free in some cases. Like you get Gemini. The one thing I will say though that's annoying, I don't like this. I'm going to try and show it. By the way, just so the audience knows, I am working on getting an overhead camera situated here at my desk. But until then, we're just going to do this fun little thing. Okay, so, I want to look for an app. Gee, okay, go into the app drawer. This is the app drawer. Now, I don't like the way that this is all set out because I'm so used to jumping into the Pixel launcher and then just searching for what I'm looking for. And then it's got this newsfeed situation, which, oh my God, again, like, I don't even want to show you guys the headlines on here. They're all awful. They're all about people getting killed.
That might just be a sign of the times.
That's a sign of the times, yeah.
Okay, here. Some awesome firework photos from PC Mag. There you go.
Okay. Yep.
But like nobody asked for this, and then of course you have the perplexity angle.
Pause on the perplexity angle. What I think is interesting is that like you're right, when you swipe up to the app drawer and you have you have up on top to the two nav items, you can choose between apps or the news feed, right? But what I find fascinating is that you can still, if you're on the home screen, you can still swipe right and reach the Google Now newsfeed that I am accustomed to on the Pixel. So like, which kind of renders the Moto newsfeed experience kind of pointless, right? Because
having
like
a newsfeed baked into the app drawer is a really strange
decision. Yes, I agree with you, Jason. It's an odd place to put it.
It is odd, but also I just want to say that I am that person who actually shut off the newsfeed to all the way to the left because of the fact that it was stressing me out because it was always headlines about everything.
Yeah. But Flo, but counterpoint, I live and die by that newsfeed because like I've used Google so much and have curated it and given it feedback that it is actually a very accurate. I'm getting stories that I am interested in. I'm getting a lot of entertainment. I'm getting a lot of media. I'm getting a lot of technology, not as much of the stuff that I don't like, I've come to depend on Google to serve me content that I actually like. And that Google Now and Google News is become a key part of my experience. And so like, I welcome it. Right. And so your mileage may vary. It all depends on what your comfort level is with that sort of content. Right.
For the record, for anybody listening or watching, all the stuff that you do over at news.google.com applies to the Google Discover feed for the most part. So because that's what I had to do, Ron. I had to get off.
Which is fair. I totally understand and respect that. Yeah.
But I agree with you that it makes no sense in the app store.
It's a weird
and the question in the chat is, can that Moto feed be curated? And it might, but like that's kind of, at least for me, starting from scratch. And I don't even know. So the news feed itself on Moto is organized by topic, but I don't even see an ability to say yes or no to things. Yeah,
you can turn it off.
Yeah,
you can turn off the news feed completely.
You can turn it off, but you can't give it any feedback.
Cues.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe if I tap into this Android users remember to block ads before Wednesday, maybe it would remember that. In
the settings of the news feed. There's the choice to show news in the app tray or not, and then personalized content, get content and ads based on your usage data, which you can turn on and off. But there's no way, and you can select your interests and content preferences, and you can identify the topics you're interested in. But between that, I'm not giving any any direct thumbs up, thumbs down on the stories it's giving me. It's just giving me based on usage, right? And so I might tap on a story, and it's going to take that as a suggestion that I'm interested in it, whether I'm interested in it or not. So anyway, so
interesting. Yeah, I don't understand. That's a peculiar placement for that feature. Yeah, doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
But but going back to your point, well, and I want to get back to the perplexity of it all. But going back to your point, at a $600 price point for somebody who might want a foldable and a flip phone, and they're at the Pixel 8a or 9a level, but they want a different form factor, it is very tempting and it is very interesting, especially with the deals at the carrier. Like it is hard not to not suggest this to people. How do you feel about Jason?
Well, no, I was just going to say that to the point earlier about the A series, being all great photos. Right, which is true, right? The Pixel A series, is less than this, and you're guaranteed to pretty much get good cameras, whereas this, is maybe less so. But the differentiator there is it's a candy bar phone that does great photos. This differentiator is it's a foldable, and so it's like putting more of its cards in the foldable camp than it is in the camera. Does the Pixel A series fold? No, it doesn't, right? So that's the thing that it doesn't do, but it does take great photos. And so really at the end of the day, it's, where do you choose to put your attention and your money into? What is the thing that's most important to you? And you do have to sacrifice on the other end of that, at least at that price category.
It's the choices you make.
Sacrifices have to be made.
How do you feel about the perplexity inclusion? And the Moto AI and all that stuff that's in there.
I want to hear what Jason has to say, because I know Jason uses Perplexity. For me right now, I'm having kind of a branding issue with AI where I really want to stick with Google, because that's A, what I'm paying for most actively, and B, it's the one that's readily available to me across Chrome and Android, and so it makes sense. And then when I talk to any other kind of AI, it feels like I'm cheating on Gemini. So I haven't really been messing with Perplexity. And I know Jason really likes it. But for me, it's so hard to think of anything that doesn't have like the Google infusion in it. God, so I don't know. I mean, Jason, what do you like to use Perplexity for?
I use them all. Like I use Perplexity for certain things. I use Gemini for certain things. I use ChatGPT for certain things. I'm all over the map at this point. I mean, the Perplexity integration here it was kind of confusing to me. It's like, where is it? Where is Perplexity? Where is it in this experience? If I just want to use Perplexity, which is what I'm used to using, right? Like, because when I hit the chat bubble, I see Ask Moto AI. Is that Moto AI via Perplexity? There's a little bit of lack of clarity. And I think that speaks to the larger issue that I see with Motorola's AI integration here, is that they really took the kitchen sink approach. And I think that all that's going to do is confuse people or make people choose to not use it. Because like you don't actually understand what you're getting. You're getting like all these things, and maybe of all these things, 5% of it is what you actually might use. So focus on the thing that people might use. Don't just throw everything in there, because it's just not going to do what you think it's going to do, Motorola. It's going to turn people away. That's my thought on that. But overall, I love Perplexity. I think, and I think it's interesting to see what's happening right now. The rumors that, Apple might buy Perplexity. I mean, I think it's a real big target for a pretty lucrative acquisition. And if that happens, it'll be interesting to see if these deals stick.
Yep. Anyway. So all in all, I feel good about it. I love using it, partially because I've wanted to play with a flip fold factor. There are some drawbacks to at least to the $600 one, to the standard one. Sounds like the Ultra, obviously it's better because it costs more money and is more flagship.
Yeah, it's a flagship.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it is totally a flagship.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm happy that I got the chance. Like, I always know how much I enjoy a phone. I think I've mentioned this before, based on how long it takes me to move my stuff off of it when I'm done with my review. Yep. And I really drug my feet kind of moving off of the Razr Ultra because I enjoyed it, because I got comfortable on it. Not all phones do I get comfortable on, and I definitely got comfortable on that phone.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Cool.
There you have it. Moto Razr Ultra.
There's the Moto. I guess, should we move on real quick and talk about another brand? get this hardware block moving. Just a quick little announcement. Samsung is hosting an event.
What on earth could
July
they
9th.
possibly be hosting? They never do that. Or actually,
I mean, I heard that they're launching some foldables as they do every summer of the last 7 years. And I believe that's going to happen again this summer in New York City, beginning Wednesday, July 9th, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern time.
So wait, July 9th? That is 2 weeks away
That is
tomorrow.
happening very soon.
That is very soon.
That is very soon. We are expecting to see the Galaxy Z Flip 7 and the Galaxy Z Fold 7. And on top of that, we're also expecting some wearables.
Wow.
Who knows if they're going to do new audio this year? Because I know audio was a big deal last year.
I mean, the fact that their headline on their invitation is the Ultra experience is ready to unfold might tip the hand of what they're doing.
There may be an Ultra variant.
we have heard about a possible Ultra variant on the Fold. Yeah,
we have been,
and an FE variant of the Flip, or the Z Flip. Has the Z Flip had an FE version before?
No.
So they're going lower option on the Flip and a higher option on the Fold. That's kind of interesting.
It makes sense though, because people who really like the Fold really like the tablet form factor, and
they're willing to pay for
more tablet power out of that, which I totally get.
Yep.
It'll be interesting. I will say, stay tuned on Android Faithful's coverage plans for the Samsung event. Stay tuned.
We're very excited. Yeah.
Oh.
So.
Yes, very excited to show you what.
Yeah, well, it's the next big major event. We'll be all over it. So, yeah.
Heck yeah. Everyone will. All right.
And it's nice that they're doing the pre-order deal still. Like they're sticking with that. Where you can get
I know, but it's hard because they want you to commit before you know what you're committing to.
But
you don't actually commit
people.
Though,
right?
And you don't actually commit. You're putting your name in,
right?
And then they're saying, all right, cool. If you do choose to buy it, then we'll give you this.
It's like a GameStop pre-order, which don't exist anymore, I don't think.
Thankfully, you're not giving them money to put your pre-order in. You're just saying, I think I will. They go, okay, if you do, here, have this too.
Yeah.
And if you don't, oh well.
If you can't wait the 2 weeks before the event, luckily we got some leaks.
We got leaks.
So if you're curious of what you're going to see, of course we had the renders of the Galaxy Z Fold 7 and Flip 7 leak out into the world. Here you're looking at the Z Fold 7, which is promising from these renders, looking at a much slimmer design with bigger displays. And here, and that's the thing. We from what was the last phone that came out, Jason, that you had? What was it? The Edge? What was that?
Oh yeah, the S25 Edge.
Yeah, I mean they're getting thinner. Samsung's going thinner, right? That's what they're trimming. They're getting their 2025 body going, right? And they're getting trimmer. And it's applying to their foldables, at least via these renders.
I don't know if I like that, but go on.
I know. But yeah, so these renders that leaked out last week, when did these come out? Yeah, these came out last week. We're starting to eke out into the world, give us a sense of what we might see next week if you are to believe them. And then moving on to the Flip 7 leaks, following the same kind of trend, but this time we're just talking about Motorola getting more of a full cover screen treatment. The full, similar to the Motorola Ultra, that full front cover screen will be the full size of the display, according to these leaks as well. Also a slimmer, thinner approach to the Samsung Flip, which is pretty exciting.
It is exciting.
Kind of I'm holding up the Razr Ultra just here. I can't show it on the camera just to see the outer bezel. And it looks like based on the renders, the Samsung renders, the bezel is definitely tighter than what we got on the Razr Ultra. So for what that's worth. But yeah, the full
it
bleed
is worth
color
a
screen
lot
is great.
because these things are dense when they're closed, and we don't all have carpenter pants. Some of us have very thin pockets that we slot our phone into, and it's when you're walking and it's just whacking just whacking your thigh over and over again.
Bam.
You're like, why did I
Bam.
get a foldable? It's ridiculous.
But the leak train didn't stop there, because then yesterday, the day before the Unpacked announcement even came out, there were some leaks comparing the of the renders of the Galaxy Z Flip 7 to the Galaxy Z Flip 7 FE, the aforementioned FE model, where you can see what those differences will look like, where the FE model is going to have the cover screen that doesn't go all the way to the top or the bottom, depending on how you look at it, with the camera unit cover, in the bezel area, and the screen kind of working around it. And then you're getting some slightly different color variations, at least according to these renders. We'll see what Samsung actually does unveil. But, the FE model possibly being just a simple black and white model version, where the Galaxy Z Flip 7 could be more of, have a blue and a more of a, what is that, a orangey,
like a rosy,
a mango. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, we'll see. But
Yeah.
time will tell in less than 2 weeks, and Android Faithful will be covering it to the best of our ability. So stay tuned.
Yes,
our dear
indeed.
friends.
Yeah, that cover screen kind of looks like a folder. Looks like a manila folder.
Yeah. It looks like honestly, it looks like the old flip style. From the couple of years ago, right? And it's cheaper. Yeah. So that makes sense for an FE model. So
Indeed. For the true fans, we'll give you less.
yeah.
That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Anyways, let's take a break. We're going to talk about some apps and get to your feedback on the other side of it. Hang tight.
The best thing about the 100th episode and the technical difficulties that we had earlier in the episode, and those of you listening to the podcast, you might not even know what happened, but the live stream went off the rails with some StreamYard issues. I have no idea how long this show is going to be.
Oh, boy.
So we're just rolling.
This one's going long, especially because we're going to have the after hours at the end of it. So 100th episode is going to be like 100. Is 100 minutes even that long in Android Faithful terms? No, it's kind of not. So
I don't even know.
It's going to be longer than 100 minutes. But we can get there. We'll get there. Let's barrel on through. This is a patron submission, by the way. A recent Google Play Services update that, let's see here, has Android Authority piecing together a puzzle that seems to point to a new AppCast feature that's in development. This is related to multi-device sync. And there's only so much that Android Authority was able to understand from a concrete sense about this. There's a lot of guessing about what this might mean, but it is obvious that it has something to do with multi-device sync. Some of the clues kind of point to, maybe streaming an app from one device to another, which sounds strange. But then when you think about a TV, you've got your phone and then you cast up to the TV, but could you make the phone contents interactive on the TV in some way? Maybe I'm understanding it, but that kind of seemed like an example that could be made. Or maybe data on one device is tied to an app and you don't want to move it over. I don't know. I'm struggling to try and figure out what this might be. Do you all have a sense of or maybe a Chromebook? I don't know. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, it's essentially AirPlay.
Yeah.
Apple's AirPlay.
Is that all it is? Well, then what's the difference between that and just Cast?
Casting has to be built into the app itself.
Okay.
Is my understanding. And this would, let's see.
You know what I mean? I thought that Cast was kind of like AirPlay. That's what Cast was, and we've had that for years. So then I don't understand what the difference is between an app-based Cast that, as Android Authority puts it, lets you stream apps from device to device. I don't know. It's kind of confusing to me, to be honest. Obviously.
It is confusing, and to be fair, it is still in leak rumor mode, so we don't know the details of it.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it just sounds like a native screen sharing solution that we don't really have right now. In a way we do, because you can go into the quick settings, you can choose to cast a screen specifically to another Chromecast device.
Right.
I wonder if this would let you, like you said, use multiple devices to sort of do, maybe have like a navigation bar on one device.
Well, so I mean,
for content that you're showing on a big screen.
My understanding of it was that it would let you, Appcast would let you remotely access apps from your main device on other connected hardware.
Okay.
Right. So that you would be able to, so you would have, so I have an app that is running, and the TV example that you had was a good example. So I've got a Google TV in my living room, and I have an app, on my phone that I can Appcast it. I can run the app on the TV from my phone to the TV. So it's similar to casting, but it's casting the app itself, not media. Right? Because casting is media. Is okay, YouTube, play this video on the TV over there.
Yeah.
Rather than, okay, YouTube, run your app on the TV.
Yeah.
That's the differential that I understood it as,
Okay. Yeah, I think there's still some big questions as far as, like we've said multiple times now, we're very early on this. It's very much a reveal.
And this is tied to, there was actually another story and I was talking to Mishal earlier today as we were prepping the show, and he's like, oh, when you talk about Appcast, make sure you talk about the handoff story that went out. So we probably should bring that up as well, too, that in another APK teardown, looks as if Android is developing a similar functionality, similar to Apple's handoff functionality, which is basically the idea of multi-device syncing. So if you have tasks or if you're doing things within apps or media notifications across multiple devices, you can sync that stuff between devices using this kind of handoff feature. And this kind of is connected to the idea. This is connected to the idea of appcasting, where you're kind of like your digital trail is followed from device to device.
Oh man, I can think of one app that I really, really want this on, and I continue to want it, which is an app that I'm pretty confident 99% of people watching and listening don't use, which is called Dolby Go. And it's basically the app that I use as an audio recorder when I have music ideas. So if I have a song idea, I fire it up and I record my, all right, it's on guitar and it's in this key and it goes like this and the vocals, blah, blah. And it's kind of where I log all those things. The problem is I use so many different damn phones and it doesn't have good sharing capabilities. Like I can't set it to automatically share all of my audio files to like Drive or whatever. It can sync to like SoundCloud, but I'm not going to pay for a SoundCloud subscription. So then anytime I use that, if it works the way I hope it does, then I could sync all of those to other devices and they would just follow me around. That would be amazing. I would love that.
Yeah. And this is also similar to Samsung's app continuity, that feature, right? And obviously Apple's handoff. And we're getting a taste of this already if you're using the notification sync across devices. Like I've got my Pixel tablet and my Pixel phone, and now I can get it. So I see a notification on my phone. I don't get it on the Pixel tablet. Like that's the beginning steps of this. And the idea of that, we're basically like, this is the dream where you go from your Chromebook to your tablet to your phone, and what you do kind of travels with you. This is laying the groundwork for all of that. Yeah. So
cool.
So these are all early. Again, these are APK teardowns, but whether it's Appcast or whatever this handoff thing becomes, who knows when it eventually will get to actually in our hands, but it's something we're keeping an eye on. So,
yep. Cool. Before we move on, Lou, thank you for the super chat.
And the live stream.
Congrats on 100th episode. Yeah, you're amazing, Lou. Thank you. All right.
All right.
And thank you, by the way, to Joanne Brereton and CJ. Yep. I can't remember if we thanked them before, but for those stories, patron submission.
Yes, the Appcast story was submitted by Joanne and CJ.
That's right.
So appreciate that on Patreon.
And we've got another Patreon submission. Patron. Either or actually works. This one comes from Jerry Mauser. And this one is good to know because with Google Assistant being deprecated later this year, how are you going to find out what song is playing overhead?
Seriously.
Fortunately, Gemini can do it. So Gemini on Android can finally identify music with song search. All you got to do is invoke it, ask it to please tell me what this song is, and it will listen and attempt to identify it.
Cool.
Yeah.
I rarely need to do that though, because I always have Now Playing on my Pixel, and it just, if I really have a question, it's just already there on my lock screen. So
It's true. That's true.
And it is very handy Now Playing. I really appreciate that.
Oh, I love it. Yeah,
you know what
it's
I've
very
done?
handy.
I'm using this app that lets me scrabble anything that Now Playing hears.
Oh, cool. To Last FM?
So like, yes. And so
Wow.
a Pano Scrobbler is this app, and it connects to Last FM, and it lets you connect it to all these other services. So anything I use on the Android device gets linked. This includes like YouTube Music, podcasts.
Very cool.
The only issue with the Now Playing is that if you're walking into a store, it's picking up music that maybe you don't necessarily want to have scrabbled,
Yep.
which for me is Moby. Like, I don't want any of that on my Last FM.
I
Okay.
can co-sign.
Yep.
Yeah. By the way, if you go to Rasputin, there's a lot of CDs that are for sale there. No one's buying them.
Yeah, shocking.
Shocking.
All right. Well, anyway, moving on. Our last app story is interesting, mainly because it's an app released for iOS, but it's the lineage of the app that is more interesting. So if you like the Pixel camera app, you might want to be aware of Indigo, which is a new camera app from Adobe, because it's been made by the two creators of the Pixel camera app, Mark Lavoie and Florian Keynes. I'm probably mispronouncing that. Who previously worked on the Google Camera and Pixel camera apps. Well, they're now over at Adobe. And they've created Indigo, which is a very, very impressive, robust camera app that is lighting it up over there on iOS for iPhone users. And they claim they are working on an Android version of the app, but we don't know when it's going to come. But for you photographer folks who are super into mobile phone photography, put Indigo on your radar, because when it comes out for Android, it might be worth checking out, because it looks like it's building on the work that both Lavoie and Keynes were doing on the Pixel camera app, but over at Adobe. So Android Authority has a great kind of breakdown of what Indigo can do, and how it's using the software and taking kind of multi-frame outputs and
Oh yeah, that example is really impressive.
Yeah, really impressive.
That's really nice.
And all the different, kind of, the settings that you're able to do and adjust, and the work, and it's following what it did for Google with the HDR Plus approach, by taking a bunch of underexposed images for every photo and stitching them together. They're doing it a little differently on the Adobe side by taking 32 images at once versus the 15 images they put together on the Google apps. And they say they're also underexposing those images more strongly than most other solutions. So the quote Lavoie and Keynes say this means our photos have fewer blown out highlights and less noise in the shadows. Taking a photo with our app may require slightly more patience after pressing the shutter button than you're used to, but after a few seconds, you'll be rewarded with a better picture. So photography folks, be aware, and we'll see if Adobe ever gets an Android version of this out there. So
I'm sure
It might not, because it sounds like this is what the Pixel does.
right?
This is just Pixel tech.
It's just doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
iPhone hardware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although
But-
this would be for other Android devices, not just Pixels. So, there's that.
Yeah. But they're doing it more. The Pixel's doing 15 shots. They're doing 32. This is like a Spinal Tap. It's a Spinal Tap.
They're
surgery.
cranking it up to 11.
Their camera app goes to 11.
Indeed. But why not Android right now at launch? Why not dual launch?
Don't get me
It's
started.
still disappointing. Yeah.
You know why.
But that's Adobe's way. Adobe never goes Android first. By the way, have you noticed that when all their stuff always goes iOS first? It's a pain in the butt.
It's much easier to go iOS first.
Yeah.
The hardware is all
Sadly.
Don't get me started.
pretty, tightened up.
Don't get me started.
Sadly, that is
All right.
the case.
Those are
All
apps.
right.
It's our 100th episode, which means that we got to hear from you, the audience members, because we love you.
Indeed.
And this first email actually is like a month and a half old, but we should address it anyway. So because we just talked about the Moto Razr. So Flo, take it away. Oh.
All right. So this one comes in from Mark. Dear Android Faithful, I purchased a 2025 Motorola Razr from Total Wireless. It cost $165 with 3 months service and ported a number. And I get a brand new 2025 Motorola Razr. Well, I got an email from Total Wireless that, quote, unfortunately, we are experiencing delays in our supply chain. The item requested, Moto Razr 2025 Blue, is currently backordered, and we expect to fill your order as soon as inventory is available, end quote. I am nervous about the internet rumors of the Razr bursting into flames and recalls of the phone. Have you guys heard anything about it? Your loyal listener, Mark. Mark, thank you for writing in. This is honestly the first I've heard about it.
Yeah, I hadn't really heard about this.
Apparently, this has been going on since May.
Well, this was a flash in the pan. This was a small thing, and so there was a delay in May when the Razr came out, specifically tied to Verizon and several MVNOs, including Total Wireless, that were operating with Verizon, that there was some quality issue with the Razr that caused these shipments to be delayed. And the delay was like a couple of weeks. It wasn't a long delay. That's why we didn't really hear about it. And Motorola, Verizon, no one ever said what was the matter. No one ever said what the problem was. Just one day, all of a sudden, they're like, okay, they're available.
Why bother?
Okay.
Why
It's all
bother
fine.
saying?
Yeah, it's all fine. Everything's okay now. Now, I do know a friend of mine's wife worked at Verizon for many, many years, and I had lots of conversations with her about it. Verizon is very meticulous about, because they do support in their locations, like the big difference between Verizon and T-Mobile and stuff like that is they have that. You can bring your phone in. They do all that sort of stuff. And they are very specific about what the phone can do and all this sort of stuff. And if the manufacturer doesn't align with them, they'll reject it and all this sort of stuff. So this is my own personal speculation. There was some disconnect between Motorola and Verizon about something with these phones that they just had to resolve, and it just took an extra week or two to resolve, and that's all it was. So a little bit of a tempest in a teapot. I assume, Mark wrote this email in May when this happened. We were waiting to talk about it when we talked about the Razr, and it just ended up, our schedule pushed it later in the month, but we wanted to address it to say, Mark, we heard you. We hope you got your phone by now.
Yeah,
please let us know. Get your phone, Mark? Yeah, please let us know if you did or not. But our understanding is that whatever the issue is, it just went away. So
poof.
Yep, exactly.
I wish all things in life would just happen like that. Just
yeah. That would be refreshing.
Exactly. All right, Jason, you're up
next. Thank you, Mark, for writing in. George from NYC says, hi, guys, to Jason. That's me. Who might be thinking, what can this be useful for besides possibly watching movies and possibly games? Of course, I think he's talking about what I showed off, I think a couple of weeks ago, right? The Ray Neo Air 3S.
Two episodes ago, in episode 98.
That's right. 2 episodes ago, the Ray Neo glasses, which I have a review of, by the way. I'll talk about that in a second. He says, well, I use my N-Real, now renamed X-Real glasses with this setup, Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, because it has video out through the USB-C. Artec HB066 foldable Bluetooth keyboard, Samsung Galaxy Buds 2 Pro, and my foldable Bluetooth mouse. There it is, all splayed out.
So for our audio listeners, he sent in photos of his setup unfolded and packed up, which I really appreciate the attention to detail, George, by the way, showing us the keyboard all folded up and the glasses all put away to show how compact it can get, as well as
pretty impressive.
Unpacked to show what it looks like when it's unpacked.
Right. George says, what fun stuff do I do with all this? Work. I run Samsung DeX, and when I travel and need to work but don't want to take a laptop, he uses that. Since all my work can be accessed via the cloud, I am good to go. Of course, I can also watch movies from Netflix or any other streaming app on my phone or from local storage that I preloaded before my trip. Just some suggestions on how to test this out. It's as always, huge fan of the show. George from NYC. Thank you for the ideas. Yeah, I had done a lot of that similarly with my review of the Neo Air 3S glasses, which, by the way, you can go to. Oh, I guess I can't take it. Oh, because that's showing. I see. You can go to my YouTube channel. You can see the review of these glasses, because it sounds like in many ways they're very similar, right? It's really just like a digital display, like an HD display, which looks really good on your face. It has some extended XR functionality that you can install via an app on like the S24 or the S25 Ultra. But I wouldn't call it XR. It's like XR Lite is basically what I say in the video, but very worth checking out. It's a good entryway, and I think they're like $269, so they're not like crazy expensive. And yes, and I can confirm when I plug these glasses in by default to the S24 or the S25 Ultra, it automatically launches DeX mode in the glasses. So it's a really easy way to use DeX if you have like the Bluetooth mouse and keyboard. A good way to do that. So
That's very cool.
Thank you for the email, George. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
I do want to note that George does have a foldable mouse, which, we talked about. He's got a foldable keyboard, and he does have a foldable mouse, which folds in half and gets much smaller, which is interesting, which you don't often see. Don't often see a foldable mouse, which is interesting.
Nope.
That's super
I do love the idea of like traveling and just bringing the phone and the glasses, and like I do what I got to do. It's very Johnny Mnemonic of him. Like I think that's great. Awesome,
glasses
George.
pack pretty small, so you can totally do that.
Yeah. I love this idea. I think it's neat. I don't know. Someday I want to do this. I got to get my hands on a pair of these glasses. I like them. So, all right. Our last email comes in from Todd, who very simply asked, I was wondering how your experience with the Google TV streamer has gone. Are you seeing a slowdown in speed over time? I've been thinking about getting one, but I'm worried it won't last more than a couple of years.
Fair.
Flo is shaking her. Why are you wagging your finger, Flo?
Well, first of all, it hasn't even been out for a year yet, but I am saying don't worry about getting one.
Why?
Don't worry. I'm wagging my finger. Don't worry about it. I have one. I have it in the living room. It's great.
Yeah,
it's
I have one too.
faster than the Chromecasts.
Yeah. I give mine thumbs up. I love mine. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I love it.
It's much faster than the Chromecast. The extra memory is super helpful.
It's got Ethernet in.
It's great.
Yep.
It's got a nice form factor. It doesn't get in the way. You can hide it if you want. It's small enough to hide. And the new remote is cool. The remote finder, when you lose the remote, you press the button, it beeps. You can find it. It's a great little device. It's an improvement over the Chromecast. I've been using it in my living room. My whole family uses it.
Yep.
My biggest complaint isn't with the device itself. Seeing no slowdown, seeing no issue with storage, seeing no issue with memory. My biggest complaint is on the software side, specifically the kids' profiles. All that stuff is buggy as hell. It keeps logging my kids out of the kids' profile, and I need to log back in, and to the point where like I need to email them because like something is wrong, because I switch the profile to the kids' profile, I go to YouTube, and it's like sign in, and I get stuck in a sign in loop. I've got to back into my account, go to YouTube, do switch accounts, go to the kids' account. Like it's not like if it's someone who wasn't me, it's not going to work. Right? Like someone who doesn't know what they're doing, it's completely broken. And I don't know if it's a family link issue but it's all my issues are specific to the kids account and user profiles and all that sort of stuff. Everything else works great. The assistant integration, the Gemini stuff, all that stuff is neat. It all works fine.
I love it.
All the apps are good. Like I give the streamer 2 thumbs up. I would recommend it totally. That said, we are hearing some news about Google TV. We are hearing that, and this is coming from a report from The Information that our friends over at 9 to 5 Google covered. The information is behind a paywall, so you can't really read about it. But apparently Google is implementing a 10% cut across the entire Google TV department budget. What that means, we don't know. The team currently exists of about 300 employees. And that number apparently has dropped about a quarter. And their budget has been set around 500 million. And so that 10% cut of that will impact what they're able to do. So who knows if that means that we're not, they're going to delay hardware, that's going to impact hardware development or software development or how they work with OEMs. Unknown what it means for what the budget cut means for Google TV's future. I'm big fans of Google TV in the living room, the lean back experience, Google in the entertainment space. But hopefully it's not going away. I don't know if Flo is wagging her finger saying don't worry about buying a Google TV streamer, like don't have any concerns about it. I think if you buy the device, it will continue to work well. I think they're always going to have the Google TV software in place. I think it's a big part of their ecosystem. It's just how much development they put into it over the future remains to be seen. So
I don't know if it's about development. Also, I just want to say I think it's slowing down for them a little bit. They've done a lot of stuff to Google TV.
Yep.
I just think they're slowing down a little bit right now. It's just not as big of a
So. All right. So that's all of our emails. You can email us at contact@androidfaithful.com. We love to hear from you.
That's it. And that, I believe,
episodes.
is it for episode 100, your supersized episode. That actually continues because after the end of this show, stick around because you will get the last of 3 free after hours. If you want them beyond that, you got to go to the Patreon and become a patron. But, Flo, let's start with you. What do you want to plug before we round things out?
All right. Okay. Well, as you all know, I'm doing the newsletter here at androidfaithful.com. It's free. You can get it either in your inbox every Friday, or you can come read it on the site at androidfaithful.com. I would ask you to please sign up for it to get it to your inbox because that helps us the most for the goal we're trying to achieve. Right now, we're trying to get 1,000 people to get this into their inbox. Currently, I have just a little under that. Not going to say exactly what, but I have just a little under that. And I would really like for you to help me out. The thing is, you don't even have to read the newsletter, which you should, though, because I don't just write the newsletter like, an Android blog. I try to write it for anybody who's just stepping into this world and going, what the heck is going on here? Why is everything so green? So sign up for that. My website, florenceion.com. If you need links to find out where I am, come join my Discord, come find me on social media. And of course, don't forget my other podcast, Material, which I do every week with Andy and Notco over on the Relay Network. For that is relay.fm/material. So thank you everyone for having me here today. And I'll see more of you on androidfaithful.com.
Yay.
Indeed. Thank you, Flo. Mm-hmm. What about you, Ron?
Yeah, so follow me on social media. I'm at RonXO out there. And then other podcasts in the world, check out iFanboy, where my buddies over there are talking about comic books every week, but every month I tune in with them and we talk about movies, TV shows, anything else that's going on. In fact, last week, the latest episode came out where we talked about the 50th anniversary of Jaws, which just happened a couple of days ago. We also talked about the passing of Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys. So it's an action-packed episode, a lot of fun to talk about that stuff. And so go listen to that over at ifanboy.com.
Right on. ifanboy.com. As for me, linktree.com/Jason Howell. You can find all the many things. There's just too much there. But definitely go to my YouTube channel and subscribe. I've got the radio review. I've got the AI buttons video from a couple of weeks ago. And then I do have my full review that I mentioned earlier of the Moto Razr Ultra going up probably tomorrow. Maybe it might be Thursday. I don't know. I'm quickly running out of time, but I do want to get it up. So go there, check it out, and thank you so very much for your support for 100 episodes. We have plenty of plans for the next 100 and beyond.
Yes,
so we do.
And like I said, stick around. We've got stories, coming up in after hours. The Magic Q feature on the Pixel 10, a new OnePlus feature for gamers with a compact tablet. We've got a whole bunch of cool stuff. Fairphone 6 leaking. all sorts of stuff there. But AndroidFaithful.com is where you can go to support the show and to follow what we're doing. Patreon.com/AndroidFaithful to support us on a deeper level. And really, you look, you'll find us. We are everywhere because we are the Android Faithful, and we love you guys, and we appreciate your support.
Here's to another 100.
Here is to
Bye,
another
everyone.
100. I hold up my water for you. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week. I hope you're ready because it's after hours. And you know what? I got to say, it feels after hours. It feels a little late. Feel a little tired at this after hours.
We got in trouble. The teacher's going to give us extra talking to.
Feels like I've been at the party just a little too long. It's after hours.
Jason has a party metaphor. I have a
school metaphor.
School metaphor.
What metaphor do you have, Ron?
I got no metaphor. I just realized the bar top in this image is marble, and I'm really impressed.
Yeah, it looks
the
good.
reflection coming off the neon.
Reflection is pretty good too, actually.
Pretty good, yeah, it's pretty good.
I mean, it's a little weird, a little funky, but it got it mostly.
Yeah. All right, let's do some
After hours is the time where we take a look at some stories that we rejected from the main show.
No, we didn't reject it. We just didn't. They didn't make the cut. They
didn't make the cut. Yeah, that's a better way. Actually, you rejected some of these. You, the listener, the patron.
Exactly.
Because the top two that we're going to talk about are the ones that you didn't pick for the patron pick. Mm-hmm. And actually, I feel like this top one could have easily been in the main show. I'm kind of surprised that people didn't vote for it, Flo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say. Yeah, so we're talking about Pixel Sense, which is this new feature that is leaked for the upcoming, as of yet unannounced, Pixel 10. And if you were listening to the main show, we were talking about the nothing essential space. That's what it was called, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Essential space. You got it.
Does that make sense? We were talking about the nothing essential space, kind of comparing that to a couple others that exist. And it turns out that Google is kind of working on its own little thing for the Pixel. And so basically, this Pixel Sense may possibly be called Magic Q, like a magic cue ball. Just think about it that way.
All right.
Yeah. I'm not sure about the SEO or the marketing of all that. Who knows?
Yeah.
It
name's a little weird to me.
That proactively suggests information and actions for you to do. Right.
Oh. Could it finally be the you got an appointment in 20 minutes, you need to leave right now, returning once again that we used to have way back when?
I was just complaining about how that isn't around anymore.
That was so cool. Do you remember that? That was really cool.
And yet
I was so late to a hangout last week because I didn't have that.
Yeah.
And yet it was ejected. And so hopefully this brings it back. That would be useful.
There's not much information about it. It just Magic Q uses AI. It uses it reads into your app usage data. It reads into your recent screen activity and certain Google app data, and also your Google account information, including your email and your phone number. And then you'll have to give permission for settings, which includes you can choose which apps will have access to it. Apps like Gmail, Calendar, Keeps, and Tasks. So kind of the idea is to have it be this main portal for you on the Pixel, using all the stuff that the Pixel does already. It's just that it's being put into one particular little section.
Interconnected
called
kind
Magic.
of links between them, I guess. I'm super curious to see what this means. Yeah, that's interesting. There isn't a whole lot to go off of here, but
no.
It kind of seems, based on what we're seeing here, that this is something that we're going to probably find out more about with the new Pixel lineup, right? Like, this doesn't seem like obviously it's not. It's not an Android 16 feature. It is a Pixel feature that
I don't think this will be on a Samsung device.
Yeah.
Right? Because we were talking about earlier, this would compete with Nowbar.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, I want to know more. I want to know if it's going to solve the you need to leave right now to get to your appointment on time problem. I would like that.
We need that back.
We do. I know. We totally do.
I haven't been on time to anything since that got.
It's true. We can.
Yeah.
Why did they get rid of that? That was so cool.
That
was so weird.
Because Google gets rid of things it shouldn't get rid of.
Yeah, that's true. That's Google getting rid of things we shouldn't get rid of for 25 years. My God.
It's a thing.
All right, so moving on, the second story, the third story in the patron pick that didn't get enough votes is 2 weeks in a row now in After Hours is me talking about OnePlus and tablets, but something's cooking, something's going on here. Last week we talked about the upcoming OnePlus Pad Lite. Their kind of budget tablet, and that wasn't actually a patron pick story. That was just a news story that didn't make the cut. But this week in the patron pick, I thought it was really interesting to discuss the fact that there's some rumors that OnePlus is in early stages of development for a compact gaming tablet. That's reported to be about an 8-inch tablet size with a 165 hertz refresh rate with a 3K resolution. And I find it absolutely fascinating now with coming out of the OnePlus Pad 3, which is a flagship device and, that aimed after, the iPad Pro kind of competitor. And then if they roll out the OnePlus Pad Lite, which is a more mid-range, affordable, a little bit of smaller, tablet option. And then if they're hovering around or looking at what works for the gaming, Steam Deck kind of user, kind of tablet experience for the gamer. What is OnePlus doing here? Like, why is OnePlus in the tablet business all of a sudden? I find that fascinating, right?
Well,
like,
it's
what
not
is
all of a sudden. This is the second tablet they've put out.
True, not all of a sudden, but it seems like it's a greater commitment than in the past. To have like multi,
but they have more resources behind them now with Oppo, and so they're able to tap into that and try and offer an alternative. I mean, their tablets are really good, and the idea
that's what I hear.
Of a gaming tablet, isn't bad. Like, think about the Lenovo tablets; they're very powerful. I know a lot of people don't talk about them, but they're very powerful tablets. Samsung tablets as well. So there's a slight market for it.
Yeah. So who knows? We'll see. So we'll keep an eye on it. We're watching it to see if OnePlus does it. But it would be very, very interesting to see if they go this route and go the smaller, boosted specs and kind of strong gaming tablet product. Again, this is early. It's not going to be rolled out in July like we're seeing the OnePlus Lite. This probably would be definitely next year. But who knows? That's speculation on my part. But I like what OnePlus is doing. I like what's in the mix in the rumor mill. So I like what their tablets appear to be doing, but I don't ever get the chance to play with them. Yeah, and I wish that I could. Yeah. I haven't made it to the OnePlus reviews list for tablets, and I hope someday to do that because everybody that plays around with their tablets, we got the 3 coming out, and a lot of people are really excited about that. They look like really well-made tablets. I think just in general, my tablet awareness is really dropped. Like when I think of tablets, like I don't even have an Android tablet that I use on any regular basis. Like I just don't. I don't have an Android tablet, and I don't necessarily miss it. But when I get the chance to use Samsung's top of the line tablets, I'm always super impressed. I'm like, oh wow, okay. There is really great Android tablet hardware out there. And I kind of feel like OnePlus is kind of inching its way towards that kind of level, Yeah.
They're trying. They're certainly trying.
Yeah, they're certainly positioning themselves in that direction.
Yeah. Who else is trying real hard?
Who's trying?
Fairphone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go for it.
Our next story.
Nope.
It is now. Let's see. Go for it.
Is it?
I just moved it up. It's okay. Go.
After Hours, anything can happen.
Look, those were the stories. You just got to run with it.
Those are the stories that lost the patron pick, but here are the stories that didn't make the cut for the larger podcast, including in hardware, Fairphone.
The Fairphone.
Guys, I'm hungry. You know,
You're
that's
good.
what
I know.
it is.
I know. I'm hungry too. We got this.
Listen, I'm just so excited to talk about the Fairphone 6, okay? It's been 2 years since we had the Fairphone 5, and you might be wondering, Fairphone, nobody uses that in the US. That sucks. You know, we should have something like this.
It should be.
Because I'll tell you, when I went to the Netherlands last summer, there were people talking about how much they love using this phone, which, yes, is headquartered in the Netherlands. Because people really want something that is bare bones basic and does not require an upgrade even 4 years in. And this would be it. So the Fairphone 6 is on the cusp of being launched. Like I said, it's been 2 years since the last version came out. And this one looks decidedly way more flagship-like than any of the first 5 have. It has a cool rear-facing camera array. It dropped the curved back panel for something a little more, you know, modern, with lines that are much more cleaner, and you know, it blends in a lot better with any old regular Android OEM versus kind of standing out as this like that. That is a phone. Of course, it still has replaceable parts, one of which is the battery on it. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
6.3 inch, 120 hertz display. The processors on these are never top of the line, but that's fine. It's a Snapdragon 7S Gen 3 with 8 gigs of RAM. So again, it's very bare bones. But
you can't swap that part out, right? Like that's not a user replaceable part, or like upgrade the processor.
No.
I wouldn't imagine.
No, but I would be very curious to see what the iFixit teardown is like, because that was really fun seeing how much you could take apart in the last couple. I think this one is going for a much more mainstream approach, where if you want to do the things you can do to it, you can. So,
but if not, I mean, it's a sharp looking device. I have to say that the backplate kind of look, you know, with the little.
It's the best looking Fairphone I think yet.
Yeah,
I agree.
Right? I mean, this is a cool looking phone. I'd love to get my hands on it.
Super pretty and nerdy. You've got your little screws there that you can, you know, like I love the concept and the idea and the problem that the Fairphone is working to solve. I love their mission, and the fact that it's a pretty looking phone, you know, to boot. Like it's just great.
Yeah.
More Fairphones.
Very hard to get in the US.
Yeah.
So.
Right. That's the downside.
Yeah.
Which should to your point, should not be a thing. It should be readily available. But
yeah, hopefully one day it will. I mean, the more that they have good, Fairphone has a lot of good press, I would say. You know, like I hear enough about the Fairphone, having never used it, but I hear, you know, the reporting on it and everything is all very positive. And I have to imagine if it's working from a kind of business standpoint for them to continue doing this, maybe eventually that leads them to a point to where they can kind of penetrate the US market on a deeper way. And I hope that they're able to. I would love to see that. I would use one. Also, something to talk about is Google Messages and applying some light pressure or giving you the tools inside of the app to apply light pressure on friends and family who have not already activated their RCS function. Apparently in code, according to Android Authority, is eventually, I don't know if it's right now or eventually, but the ability for, you know, a toast message to appear that says, invite this contact to RCS chat. You can share high quality media and send secure messages when we're both on RCS. And it gives you a little button that you can text that invite. So, you know, apparently if you're connected to someone and you are not RCS and it thinks that you could get them onto RCS by sending this message, they make it very easy for you to send the message to them and hopefully get them over on RCS. So everything works out.
What are you going to do? Tell them to update iOS?
Yeah, I know. That's
what it is. You just have to update iOS, and some people really don't want to do that.
Totally. Yeah, I'm kind of dealing with this a little bit right now because both my daughters now are on iOS. They both have iPhones. The Android brand did not stick with them. They used Android a lot, but they're out. You know, they're at the age. I was going to say they're of the age to where there's a lot of social pressure at school and influence, and so it's working. But we have a group chat between all four of us, my wife and I on Pixels and them on iOS. And my younger daughter's phone is not updated, and so therefore our group chat is all wonky. But what's good about it, I gotta say, what's good about it is I'm finally, after all these years, in a position to really learn something about the mechanics of it all from a first-person perspective, because I'm the one that troubleshoots all this stuff. So now I know how to go in there and be like, oh, this is where you go to turn it on. So I'm getting a better sense of how it all works. So that's my rose-tinted glasses.
Rose-tinted, not quite XR glasses.
I was going for the XR joke, but you beat me to it. Yeah,
I took it.
Yep. The thing that's annoying me about RCS right now is the jumping between RCS and not RCS in the chat. So, and I don't know the how or why. Like I'll be talking with people on iOS or whatnot, where it's like, and it'll be like RCS chat enabled, and then like message to message, it will change. And I don't know how. It has to do
with whether they're on Wi-Fi or whether
are they on Wi-Fi or not.
Yeah.
If they're on Wi-Fi, it's RCS. But if they're somewhere where they're struggling to get like full bars, then it will switch to SMS. Which on Android, those may have seen, it changes colors when it does that.
Yeah.
And it tells you what's going on. So
interesting. Yeah. All right. Well, moving on. We talked in the show this week about Samsung and the upcoming Galaxy Unpacked event and the Samsung Fold, and we saw some renders and things like that. And Samsung's getting thinner. We talked about the Samsung diet, to Flo's dismay. But Honor is not one to be dishonored. They are.
They're not.
They are going for to try to be the thinnest ever foldable with the Honor Magic V5, and it looks pretty darn thin. And if you're watching the video version of this, you can see Jason showing the promotional graphic they showed where this foldable is pretty darn thin. It looks to be the thickness of a normal phone, if not even thinner than that.
I just want to throw it.
So yeah,
like
it is very, very thin. This was shown off at MWC Shanghai, which is pretty exciting. It's going to launch on July 2nd in China, and they're really going for it. And I don't actually see a measurement of it to say exactly how thin it is, but it is very, very thin. Here you go. So we don't know how much it'll be. So the Magic V3 was 12.1 millimeters when it launched in 2024, and Honor is saying that this iteration will be the world's thinnest yet. So we'll see how much thinner they can go. So
I wonder unfolded what it'll be too. Yeah. That looks. Yep. That can't be much thicker than a USB-C port, you know what I mean? Like really at a certain point, it can only get so thin because it has to be thick enough to be able to surround a port.
Exactly.
So, and we're approaching that point really with these devices.
Yeah. I love everyone one-upping one another, trying to be the thinnest and the flattest and the whateverest and the lightest and the
most AI.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the S25 Edge, like I feel like it's been a kind of a nothing burger on interest. It seems like people really have not been that interested. So
if you read my newsletter on Friday, you saw that I linked that it's not selling very well.
Yeah, I saw that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go. So, so do we need / want thin? I don't know. And then finally, this one stood out to me because my mother's name is Martha.
Aw.
Okay.
And that's an interesting way to start an Android story, right?
Yeah, sure.
I promise it'll make sense because we're talking about Google's Android XR smart glasses that we've seen so much about this last half year. And apparently the prototype is all Martha. Google Martha. Okay.
All right.
I feel like there's something I need to know about the name Martha that I never knew before. Like that's strange to me, but maybe they're, like they have different like naming nomenclatures for different types of products, right? Maybe their glasses wearables line will be just like generic names, like person names. That's just how we name these things. anyways, there was a developer who shared a post on Twitter X and happened in one of the posts to share the glasses next to a syncing app. And on that app, it says Google Martha. So that has everybody wondering, like, oh, so are these going to be called the Martha glasses, or is that the project name? Is that going to change? There's no way these things come out.
Martha.
I mean, they're not going to call the product name isn't Martha. I mean, let's get that out of the way right now, right?
We call it Martha.
It is very gendered, I will say. The name means lady boss, mistress, landlady.
Okay. So maybe are these glasses? Is this like do they have different styles of the glasses, and these are the
Martha
more feminine
boss lady XR glasses?
Yeah, boss lady version. I don't know.
Martha, my dear.
And is that the glasses themselves? The Martha? Are you wearing the Martha on your face right now?
Oh, I wonder which ones we were wearing then.
Yeah, were we wearing Martha?
Were we wearing the
on our
Marthas?
face? I don't know.
Good question.
Interesting. The word is starting to sound a little weird to me, even though it's my mom's name. It's starting to not sound like a name or a word anymore. The more we say it. Anyways, that's it. I don't know that there's much more to know about this other than that. I thought that was interesting.
I'm trying to go back to my the stuff there in Google I/O if I have a picture of me wearing the glasses.
Oh,
because we all got to wear the glasses, right? Didn't you?
We did.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah.
Glasses on face.
I mean, there are just so many photos of my children. It's just ridiculous.
Oh God! Welcome to parenthood.
Oh, there we go. There's Google I/O. There we go. All right.
Well, I know that I got mine. I just did a search for glasses and.
Well, I don't have a picture. I have to take a screenshot of a
video.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't say they don't say Martha, or I didn't know.
No, I don't. That would have been weird if the entire event, like it said Martha and
nobody noticed. Yeah, that'd be weird. That would be weird.
Anyways.
Yeah, here you go. There. Where is it? Let me get rid of this. Let me do this. This is such great after show.
Got to do all the StreamYard things just to show Martha. The Martha glasses. Oh, I was going to say, StreamYard's doing the thing again. I can't see it, but now I can see it.
Why can't I add it? Now we're back to this. Oh, well, anyway.
Oh, no, okay. You have to remove your email. Like, email has stolen the screen, so you have to, like, get rid of it. And then we should be able to.
I can't see it.
I can't see it either.
No. Okay,
remove
now
other media streams from the stage.
Oh, that's me. Sorry, that was me. So I remove that and then add. There you go.
There's me in the glasses.
Oh, so worth it.
Yep.
Oh,
so okay. There's me and possibly the Martha glasses.
And you were in that same room that I was in?
They look good with that shirt you wore. It looks
they looked all right.
Fits in the whole aesthetic.
Yeah, it totally fits the aesthetic.
Yeah, there's me wearing the glasses. This is me using Google XR right now.
Android XR. There you go.
Just nodding and wearing glasses. Yep. All right.
I'm not used to seeing you with the glasses, so I'm kind of like
it is weird. Yeah. I don't like wearing glasses either. I don't like having things on my face.
It definitely gives you. It definitely pushes you over into a certain aesthetic.
It does. It's an aesthetic that I'm not used to seeing you in.
Yeah, it definitely pushes you.
Oh, you just saw the moment where the Google Maps integration started working, where I noticed the Google Maps thing on the floor.
Yeah.
Like the horizon. Yeah,
pretty sure, like, we're not hearing any audio, but I'm pretty sure I saw your lips say holy cow.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
We do need a new clip for Android Faithful.
Holy moly.
Get these off me. There you go.
Holy wow. All right. I think we've reached the end.
Fun times on the after show. For our audio listeners, go to patreon.com/Android Faithful. You can watch the video and you can see the video of me wearing the glasses. If you're listening on the audio on the RSS feed, the video is there. So, yep.
Thank you, everyone. This was a supersized episode, complete with the after hours, partially because we just had a lot to talk about, partially because we had technical difficulties that made it really difficult for us to know how long we were doing this. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for being with us. And thank you for 100 episodes. Y'all are awesome.
See you the next 100.
All right,
will
this is
see
going to
you
wrap
the
it for
next
the after show.
right.
We hope everyone enjoyed the freebie of getting the after show. It goes back to the paywall next week just for our patrons and supporting members. And until then, thanks
Hope to see you
everybody
there.
for an awesome time.
All right, now let's get some dinner because holy moly, holy cow, I am hungry.
Holy cow.
Bye, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
And scene. Oh my goodness,
scene.
I am hungry.
What a night.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Also
sucks that
did,
like one technical thing throws everything off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Ugh,
Yeah.
I hate it when that happens.
I'm sorry.
But we
We
made
persevere.
it through. We persevere.
Persevere.
Did Mom Donnie win, by the way?
They're still... My friend lost.
People on Blue Sky are like, he won. He can do this. So I'm just, yeah.
My friend lost the controller. He's winning. 43.5% to 36.4%. That's wild. That's great.
Whale.
Mom Donnie's son's Cuomo. Yep. I don't know if they called it yet, but
Oh, there's
It's over. Sorry. Okay, I've got to go eat. Let's see. Let me make sure my recordings are uploaded. I think you have to stop the stream so that we can.
Yep, I do.
Yep.
Everybody, thank you so much for being with us this whole time. Thank you for all the amazing super chats and for the support following us over to the new live stream when we had to do that through no fault of our own. But it was a fun time. Thank you for 100 episodes. We're going to end the stream now so we can go eat dinner.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Great hanging out. We'll see you next time.
good night.
Bye.